What's good? This is Jazz from 64111 Studio. Make sure you holler at me for all your mixing, mastering, and recording needs. For booking, please visit www.64111studio.com. What up, podcast world? This your dude, Walt Lee Dundilla, the Popper, Mr. Activelli. Pull up on me, 1809 Vine, 8600 Ward Parkway, or yes, I'm KC.com.
KC is my home. Most scratched in the rest, where your bag at? Posted in the store, moving t-shirts and dad hats. Buy 3, get 1 free, you can have that. Niggas get panic, quintiles being lab rats.
To all my brothers, all my sisters, to any and everyone tuning in and trying to navigate this thing called life. Whether you've been following this healing movement from the jump, or you're brand new to the family and tapping in for the first time, welcome. You are absolutely welcome. This is the Blacked Out Couch Podcast. But we like to think of this as more of a safe space for decompressing instead of your typical pod. The purpose of this show is to encourage and promote mental health awareness in our communities. For decades, the mere idea of addressing trauma and healing has always been taboo in the Black culture. We are hoping to change that narrative, one day at a time, one conversation at a time. Now, keep in mind, although we do believe wholeheartedly that the keys to an intentional healing journey include support groups such as these, as well as a variety of other ways to cope, in no way, shape, or form is this show intended to be a replacement or substitute for professional treatment of your mental health needs. We want to encourage, uplift, and provide our audience with tools and resources that have helped some of us maneuver in our day-to-day routines. While some of our panelists do have experience and specialize in the mental health industry, we are all everyday people trying to get by, just like you. So always remember, no matter what you may be going through, you are not alone. It's going to take plenty of courage to see this thing through. But I have faith in us, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome everyone. I hope we heal.
All right, man. Welcome to episode 3 of the Blacked Out Couch Podcast. If you tuned in last week or a couple of weeks ago to the sisters episode, the sisters did their thing, man. They had a really good, deep conversation, man. Real profound, man. But tonight it's all about the brothers again, man. So tonight, episodes 3, we're going to actually be talking about the concept of protecting Black women and children. I think it's a really interesting conversation. There's a lot of chit chatter online in some of the social media spaces, just in some of the spaces in general. We're seeing this conversation come up, the concept of, Black man role, and if they are protecting women and children. So I got some brothers on the couch tonight. Some of the brothers' faces going to be familiar, and we got some brothers that are going to be here for the first time. All right, there we go. Full house tonight. What's going on, fellas? If your mic is muted, man, unmute your mic, and let's get this thing started tonight, man.
What's going on?
What's good?
How y'all doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man.
What's
Welcome,
up, everybody?
welcome, man. I know we got a few new faces out here tonight, man. So if it is your first time tonight on the Blacked Out Couch, tonight on the couch being your first time, if you want to introduce yourself, talk about what it is that you do or what inspires you, you got the floor, man. You're welcome.
I go first. My name's Scott Manningham. I'm the founder of Talk to Me Unconventional Therapy based here in Florida. My focus is anxiety, depression, and communication. I've worked with mainly youth for a while, but that has kind of expanded to families and couples based on there being limited versions of us in therapy. So it's kind of opened up, and I've just been working on improving those skill sets and stuff like that. So my name's Scott Manningham. Talk to me.
Right on, bro. Right on, Brother Manningham, man. Appreciate you coming out with us tonight, man, joining us in this discussion. All right, who else we got? Got a couple of faces out there. You got JB. We got Mr. Coach Johnson is out there. This is your first time on the couch.
It is.
Introduce yourself, brothers.
Well, I'll go first. Let me get my camera on right there. You see my picture, it's just showing the power of stepping away. You know what I mean? Sometimes we need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to be on here so I can share who I am and, and feel the vibe and the energy from all the brothers. And I appreciate the invite. So my name is Joel Johnson. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm a certified personal trainer. I also run an NFL flag league, football flag league for kids, girls and boys from the ages of 6 to 13. I'm partnering with the Las Vegas Raiders on that as well. So I'm big in the community. I also train kids as well for football and the receiver and defensive back position. I have girl high school team, girl high school boys. I have youth. So my thing is giving back to the kids, doing whatever I can to help them learn how to be productive citizens, grow to be men, grow to be women. And I use the game of football because it helps a lot because it's one of the best teachers. You get knocked down, you got to get back up, fight through adversity. You don't think you can win. You pull off a win, thought you was going to lose. That's life. So that's what I'm doing.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you joining us, Brother Clack. One of my big brothers, man, from another mother, man. Nothing but love. And then, Brother Rain, did you want to introduce yourself? If you want to talk to the people about who you are and what inspires you.
My name is Rain, and I'm Brian's cousin, little cousin. So yeah, I pretty much I'm in marketing, and I went to marketing after I was hit by a car, and they told me I'd never walk again. So I'm actually recovering here in Mexico, Cancun, Mexico, and yeah, that's me.
Right on, bro. Hey, I appreciate you, man, taking time, man, to get out here, man, with us tonight, man, and share your story, man, and share your energy, bro. So welcome, man. Game tight. What's going on with you, brother? Game tight. Welcome back. We got my brother, Mr. Rogers. Welcome back, man. How y'all been, man? It's been a few weeks, man, since we've done this, man. How y'all been, man?
I'm hanging in there.
Rough. It's been rough. Mother's Day just passed, and I lost my mom, April 16th of 2014. And some years I do well, and some years I don't. And this year was one of my let's say least favorable years. I kind of shut down and got away as we've talked about in the past. So it's been rough, but I'm coming back out of it. Another reason why I'm here, just getting this space and be able to get things off my chest and share with other black men and fellas, and I know we all understand that's why we all here. So It been rough, but game tight gonna pull through, man. I roll with the punches, ups and downs, but this one was rough. When you talk about mines, you only got one, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I can relate 1,000%, man. Real ironically, man, and maybe not even ironically at all, but this year was another one of the rough ones for me, man. Like I was talking to you offline about that. It just kind of depend on the year, man. My mother been gone for 30 years now, and that was one of the first heartbreaks for me as a young man. That's something that I think is the cornerstone of sort of all of my trauma, my characteristics, kind of my background and my foundation always kind of goes back to that moment. And so some Mother's Days come around, GT, and I'm cool. But this past one, bro, I really went into a kind of a dark space, man. It was almost kind of like I felt it approaching a little bit more this year, this time around.
Yeah.
So, I definitely feel you on that, man. And for me, man, I don't know what that space looks like for you, bro. But like for me, I really kind of go into a shell, man. Like, I make it a point, and this might be cynical, man. This might be sinister, but I make it a point not to even say Happy Mother's Day to people.
I knew I wasn't going to this
dark
year.
Space.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to this year. Yeah.
So for me, man, and I've done that kind of multiple years throughout time, where I kind of get into that space. I feel kind of bitter. I feel kind of angry. I don't. It almost bothers me to see other people, celebrating and having a good time. So I kind of have to remove myself, man, when I feel that, just because I know I'm not going to be pleasant around people. But that's a real thing, though, man. It ain't nothing to be ashamed of, man. Like, everybody kind of, processes those feelings and emotions, bro, differently at different given times in their timeline, bro. So definitely, bro, one love on that, man. I feel you 1,000% on that, man. For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it 1,000%. Yeah, man. We're going to hang in there. That's why we're here, man. You know what I mean? So appreciate you, man.
Yeah, let's do a temperature check, GT. Let's go ahead. You can start with Brother Rogers, since me and you kind of hijacked that moment for a little bit, man. You know what I'm saying? Got that off our chest. But let's do a temperature check, man. Check everybody out.
So let's do a temperature check on the brothers here tonight on the couch with us. Brother Rogers, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your mental well-being today?
I would say today it's hovering around 7.5, 8-ish. It's been for the guys who I'm supporting my kiddos as I'm transitioning through a divorce, that kind of stuff, and then my daughters are 9 and 5, so it's been a lot of talking with them about what's going to happen and things like that. And some days are good days because they understand, and it's amicable. It's an amicable split, but it's difficult to explain to a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old what's really going on. And today was actually one of those actually really good days where it wasn't weighing so heavily, and I wasn't sitting listening to Gil Scott-Heron by myself. So we've had a lot of discussions about what that means, and today we just hung back and played in the park and played Mario, and so it's been a decent day for where we are in this season of my life as a whole.
I'm glad to hear that. That's what's up, man. Really glad to hear that. Let's see, we can move on. Let's check Brother Scott. Brother Scott, your mental health on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it today?
I'm about an 8.5, 9. I'm doing all right today, man. Can't expect much more. I'm glad I'm here. I woke up, I'm doing well. So at the end of the day, I try to do what's necessary. I got up today and did what I was supposed to do, did the workout, did, all of that regular stuff. So even when I am in dark spaces, I try to keep it above 7, because I know once it get down to a certain point, it's just all downhill. So,
Yeah, love. I love that, man. That's what's up, man. Get that positive energy going. Keep it going. Good deal. We're going to move on to Brother JB. JB in the building tonight. JB, your mental health on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate it today, man?
Man, I'm going to give myself a 9.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
My oldest graduated from high school yesterday.
Hey, congratulations. Congratulations.
You scared the hell out of us the last 3 months, but so yeah, I'm sitting at a 9, bro. She got a full ride offer to go to college, so she can go to college without any debt. So I'm at a 9 right now. Yeah,
that's dope, man.
So, feeling good,
blessing, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Coach Johnson,
man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, your mental health today on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to be real honest with you.
Yes, sir.
Let's do that.
Let me see. I would say, man, it's at a 5, man. And the reason why I say that, right, is because I got a lot of heavy things on my mind, going through some of the most trying times in my life, right now. Like, and so, but see, I endure it all. But as far as like the where I'm at, mentally, like, I say it's a 5 because it's not a real happy place with the things that's heavy on my mind. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I'm working things out. This is actually, that's why it was good that Holly hit me, because the timing is pretty good. For me to be able to just, because I've been talking to myself for the past couple of days, for real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I know how that can be though.
Understandable.
Absolutely,
Sure.
bro. And that's exactly
That's
why
what
we
we're
need this, man. We need
Yeah.
this type of space, man. Like, even when we ain't, doing like the official conversation, man, we try to meet weekly, bro. So we can just hop in and chop it up, man. We trying to prepare, cause like the format of the show, bro, is we only really doing one show per month. So, this will be our June episode. Next episode won't be until, almost 4 weeks from then. So, but we still like to meet every once in a while, man, at least once a week, man, to just kind of decompress and unpack, man, just as brothers, bro. But I'm definitely glad that you joined us tonight, Brother Johnson. For sure.
All right. We're going to
step in on you.
No, you good.
dog.
You good. Let's see. We got nephew Zaire. On your mental health, brother, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it today?
Can y'all hear me?
Sure.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you for sure.
I'm gonna say I'm at like a 4 because I got a lot going on, and I'm, like I said, with work and everything. I'm sure I'm gonna get better. It's just right now, I'm time, but other than that, I'm here, and
Well, brother, I want to encourage you to hang in there, man.
Sure.
That's what we're here for. You know what I mean? Every day is not the easiest, but we can win the battle if we continue to fight. So keep fighting a good fight and keep your head up.
For sure.
All right. For sure. Appreciate you. Brother Rain, on the mental health side, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself today?
Today's actually one of the better days. So I put myself at a 7 out of 10. Only reason why is because I've been numbing myself. Literally from the moment I wake up, I just numb myself. I know it's not good because it's not solving a problem at hand, but this is what I can do at the moment until I'm ready to go to therapy. So, which is therapy is tomorrow. So, I mean, I think it's actually really good because of I did, make it last all the way until therapy started. So, I would rate it as a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I hear you. Keep fighting a good fight, brother. Keep your head up, like I told nephew. That's what we're here for. So I believe anything above a 7 is good, but it sounds like you kind of teeter-totting on that 7. So keep fighting a good fight, brother. Stay above, keep your head above water. Brother Rod, mental health check.
Yes, sir.
A scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your mental today, man?
I'm probably at about a 6.5. Like I was saying earlier, bro, it's been a rough month. I think, man, this past month has just been rough for me in general, bro. Especially with Mother's Day approaching, but more than that, man, just work, man. There's just been a lot of different things happening behind the scenes, bro, that I'm, responsible for, right? As far as cleaning up the mess. So it's just been a lot of stress with work, man. But I'm always, man, appreciative, bro, when we can kind of get together, bro. I always stress that. I say that I think every time that we meet, bro. But man, just being in the same sort of energy space, bro, with your fellow brothers, man, like just some other black men, bro. Like this really does kind of, because I feel like iron sharpens iron, right? So, these are sort of spaces that we don't get to do or don't get to be in every day or very frequently because of schedule and just, life constraints, bro. But right now I'm at a 6, man. I think by the end of this discussion that we're going to have tonight, my spirits are probably lifted up a little bit more, man, just from hanging out with y'all fellas online like this. So definitely, man, I'm glad that we here. Now, what about yourself, DT, my guy? Temperature check on you. How you feeling tonight? I know it's been rough as well.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at about a 4, maybe a 5. I've got a laundry list of things that are weighing heavy and pressing on me real heavy right now. As far as I've got some sick family. My father, then my OG cousin. I don't be putting all my business out there, but my house got ran into on January the 17th of this year. And it actually came through the side of the house and put a hole in the wall. And today is, what is it? It's May. Let's just say it's the middle of May. And no repairs have been done. So, I got to wake up to this and see this on the daily. It's just, I just got a laundry list of things. And so, it's like I'm almost drowning, but I'm doggy packing. It gets, I come up for air and then it just like put me back down. So I'm just trying to get my head up above water again. And, it's been rough, but, I'm here and I'm fighting. I'm going to keep fighting. So it's one thing people know about me. I'm a fighter.
For sure, man. And, man, I think we all, no matter what the self-rating that we all kind of give ourselves, man, we all got to give ourselves a pat on the back, bro, just for even being present. I don't know if all of us have experienced, extreme moments of depression and anxiety and not even, getting out of bed or wanting to do anything productive, man. It took a lot for us to get here tonight. So, man, everybody, man, just got to give themselves a pat on the back, man, just for even being present, man. So, I appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out with us tonight, man. And let's dive into the discussion, man. We tonight is episode 3, so it's back on the brothers, man. Like I said, the sisters last episode, the sisters they talked about the concept of being a strong black woman. What does it mean? Is it essential? Is it erosive? Is it detrimental to the community, to their everyday kind of routine? So they dove right in on that, man. If you guys haven't had a chance to see their episode, man, I'll make sure I send you in that direction. But let's get into our conversation tonight, which is really centered around the conversation or the question, are we protecting black women and children? So I got a series of questions that'll kind of guide us in a direction, but feel free to chime in where you want to. If you got a question on your mind, speak your mind. We're going to do this raw and 100%, man. Just be honest, man, with everybody in the room, and let's just be honest and respectful. So first question, man, it ain't no pressure, but the first question, man, is let's just talk about what is protection, man. Let's talk about what is your definition of protection? What does it look like? whether you talk about for women and children, we can just say our community. Discuss the various forms of protection and what that word sort of means to you.
I'll go first. Okay, right on. So when that's spoken of, I just think about my role as a husband and a father. So just daily life. I wake up, how's my family protected? So I mean, easy stuff. I got a house with a roof and the door is locked, so protected on that to that extent. But stepping outside of this home, so in terms of protection, so for children, you try to prepare them in terms of simple stuff, stranger danger, what's your address, what's your phone number if you get lost, things like that. You do that. And as they get older, you teach them more things as they can understand them, because we all know this world and growing so more, it's dangerous for children, women, men. It's dangerous. It can be dangerous for everyone. So that's step one. So that's kids. Step two for my wife, really protection for her is just, how are you covered? What do you need? Is there anything I can do to help you today? Help you, whatever you need to do. So that's how I cover her. With her being an adult, she can manage on her own, but I like to be able to add that extra layer. Like, what do you need? Like, simple as gas. I mean, you need your car washed. This is not stuff I do every day by any means. I'm not taking my wife's car to the gas station to put gas in it because she grown. She got that. But I'll pay for it. No problem. Stuff like that. You laughing at me. So Holly got me on here because you know how I am. But yeah, just simple stuff like that. You muted, Holly. But simple stuff like that. I'm sure we will get deeper as the conversation grows. But, just ABC, I wake up, are you protected just walking out the house? Even like with my daughter, she started driving last year. Like, all right, you can't just pull up somewhere and just be in your car. Just explain it to her. You are a female. People prey on you. A young female, a small female, you're preyed upon. So just educating her about those things. Like I said, as your kids get older, you can tell them different stuff. So just to kind of help y'all out, I got a 4-year-old and then I got an 18-year-old, and I got some kids in between there. So I got a broad spectrum of children. So I'll let somebody else speak.
I got one.
Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Emotionally protected. I think about, because I piggyback off what JB was talking about in terms of physical protection, I think about emotionally protecting our people around us. That means taking care of your own mental health while also making sure that, so the example I give to my daughters is, because of confidentiality, I can't say anything about like my work and what I do on a day-to-day, but it can weigh on me if I'm like not taking care of myself. So if I come in and I have just a really, really long day, what I'll do when I, get my oldest from school or, hang out with my youngest when she gets home from daycare is like, Daddy, what's going on? Daddy's had a long day, but Daddy's going to do X, Y, and Z to take care of himself, and I'll be right with you. The reason why I let them know that is because kiddos will interpret like, oh, you've had a rough day, so it must be me. So emotionally protecting someone means like communicating like what's going on with you and relaying that information to them, especially for littles, so they can know like, oh, no, there's nothing you did. No, you did. I just had a real long day at the office. So because some of us grew up in households, myself, I'll speak for myself, grew up in a household where emotions were just kind of dumped on you. If the parents were in a bad mood, now you got to be in a bad mood. So there wasn't any wiggle room for other feelings as well. So I think about emotionally protecting. When I think about the term protecting someone, I think about, having the emotional safety and vulnerability to know the space between how you communicate to the vulnerable people in the household and also how you allow them space to have their big feelings too as well. So that's how I also think about protection.
Right on. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I'll say something. So, I say the way I look at it is, there I'll piggyback off both the brothers, off John and Rogers. Because look, so there's the physical protection. All right. Making sure that our home is safe, making sure we got a nice neighborhood, safe neighborhood for our kids to play in. That's my goal. That's what I mean. That's one of the ways that I think of protection. And then also, like Roger said, on the emotional side of protection. Now, I know that I have not been the best at that because of, I guess, the way that I was raised. Unfortunately, I was in a household with, after my mom left my dad, we had to stay with my grandma. My grandmother, she was not a baking cookie grandma. She was she would bust your head. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so my grandma, she was real mean and stuff. So like everybody in the house fought. I used to see my uncles and cousins fight each other, stab each other with knives, draw blood. You know what I mean? So that's the way I grew up, and I was traumatized by those things. And so I found myself just really wanted to, I felt like I wasn't protected. Right? I feel like, dang, the way that I feel real scared. So and somebody should be doing something about this. Like, kids shouldn't feel this scared. So that's why I understand why the emotional side is protection. But then I took it to another level, just based off of, not another level, but I added another layer of protection, because there's things with that comes to do with indoctrination from school with your kids, the things that they're teaching. So, I have to protect them in that ways. I protect my children. We decided to go vegan 7 years ago as of February. I wanted to protect their health. I want to feed them the right things. I understand what the iPhone's doing, the access that they have to social media. I want to protect them with that. I protect what they're watching, what they're putting in their mind, what they putting in their ears. I check what they listening to. I turn them on to solfeggio, the different vibrations and megahertz and things of that nature. So when I'm talking about protection now, I'm just looking at anything that is not in me or my family's favor. I need to protect them from. So including myself when it comes down to how I handle things emotionally, and how I speak and how I discipline. You know what I mean? So as I learn about myself and I learn about the world more, I start learning like, well, dang, man, my kids really needed some protection from me because of the things that I went through. You know what I'm saying? My wife needed protection from me for real. You know what I'm saying? Because of my harshness and my words. You know what I mean? So it's a learning experience. And I will add lastly that, when I came on here, my mentality was a 5, but it immediately pushed to a 6 just because I got a platform to be able to say I'm at a 5. Do that make sense?
Absolutely, nigga. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel heard.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can feel like you ain't by yourself. You feel me?
No, I was thinking about the same thing you were saying, Coach Johnson. Like this is my first time into this, and I think it's just dope. Like, to have a place, like, it instantly felt like I was in group therapy. Like, I'm like, hold on, are we supposed to be like it? But it was a good feeling to look around and see other people that look like you, but still everybody's different. And it's dope to just see you guys all like look different. And you don't get that much of a vibe when you look at mental health per place. You very rarely find anybody that look like us. And so I think it's one of the things that we need to like make sure that we're protecting ourselves as well, because we are valuable in the community. And as much as like we have to protect our family, I think that we all have a calling to help protect other people's family as well. And I just think it's dope to see all y'all in one place, all with the same mindset to protect other people, like to protect Black young children and women. And you very rarely see us coming together to mobilize and say, hey, this is important. And even though we are leaders in this aspect, we are still have feelings and emotions and are dealing with stuff myself. I thought that was dope that everybody presented themselves and say, everybody didn't say I'm a 9 or I'm a 10. You know what I mean? And you know, most of the time that's where we got to come in and we got to present this certain vibe. But to have y'all come in and say, "Nah, man, I'm at a 5. I'm dealing with something." I think that was dope, and this should continue. I like this. So that's it. I don't know if I had answered any
I'm glad. No, I'm glad you shared that, because I was actually going to ask. You know, I agree wholeheartedly with JB and everyone in regards to protecting the wife and the children of the family. And you know, Brother Scott mentioned, you know, the community as well. So you know, I wanted to check the temperature and see how, you know, y'all felt about when you're out alone without your family, and you might see another woman or child in a situation where they need to be protected. Do you feel the need to protect that woman or child? Is that your place in this society? Is that what women want from us? Like, how do y'all feel about that in that regard?
Let's get into it. See, this the dialogue that need to be had, because I think everybody has their own different mindset. I joke with my wife all the time, because I say that most black folks should live by the mantra of minding their own damn business, but that's a joke, right? Because that's a real serious conversation a serious question that you asked, GT. You know, because I think some of us have probably been in situations where we've seen something happening, an incident, known of a situation, maybe a condition or circumstance where a woman, a black woman, or a child might have needed some level of protection. What do you do in those situations where it's not necessarily your direct, family or circle?
So, speaking from experience, in helping somebody that you don't know, I've learned, ask them if they want or need help before you do anything. Because I've been in the situation, I stepped in, and it was a female. She was like, "Well, why did you do that?" He was putting his hands on you. What do you mean? But so I've learned, like, because I have to make it home. Like, I have my family's my priority, period. Do you need help? After that, yes or no, depending upon what level of help they need, you step in.
Okay.
To be honest with you, for me, it's very complicated. Because the reason why I did get hit by the car was because I was trying to help a black man, and they were calling the police on him. He was stumbling to his car. He was clearly way too intoxicated, and I was just like, I don't want to see another black man go to jail. As soon as I start talking to him, it's, the ego of a black man is so fragile, and we're always ready to swing and shoot and do all kinds of stuff. So when it comes to black folks, and then it's just it's so difficult for me. I'm gonna mind my business, because I've seen nothing but negative results coming out of trying to protect black folks, and that's just from my personal experience.
Yeah, no, and it's a hell of an experience, man. Cause and even me and you, we talk offline all the time, but you've always been that person, man, that would extend that hand and try to look out for somebody close to you, man. So I definitely, man, I always, man, I got a lot of empathy, bro, for the way that that incident affected you, man. But it's a real conversation to be had, because now you at the point where you like, I'm gonna mind my business.
To be honest with you, I'm angry. I am like, that's why I hate talking about it. I'm angry. I'm still angry at black people. I'm very fucking angry. I'm sorry to cuss. I'm angry because this is like, it's bull crap. It's our culture. It's all of that stuff and tied, embedded inside of it. And it's just like, and we still point the finger at everyone else and make it seem like, no, it's us. We're the freaking problem, man. I'm shutting up.
You good, bro?
Nah, you good, bro. This is what this place is for. To answer the question.
Hey, but I will say this. Hey, Rain, I got 4 sons. All right. And the way that I'm raising my sons, they would have appreciated you. So I need you to understand that, like, there are young men, and black women that are out there that are guided in a way to where they would understand your heroism, and they would appreciate that. I know for the ones that I'm raising, that's for a fact. So, but you have every right to feel the way that you feel, in the, overall in general. And I think we all would agree with that,
That's why we here. That's
yeah.
why we here.
And
We saw. I think that for me personally, I've spoke about this, but I think that for all of the gentlemen that's here, we've all kind of set from some sort of perch and saw a need for change in our culture in a variety of different areas, man. And that's why we here, man. So definitely, Rain. You ain't never got to apologize, man. And anytime you want to cuss, express yourself however you want to express yourself, bro. That's what this space is for, bro. But we do want to see change in our community in a lot of different ways, and that's why we're here with this conversation, man. Talking about the concept of what do you do in those moments where somebody that looks like you might need protection.
Yeah, I think my answer depends.
Yeah.
Like, I think it depends. Like I'm borrowing from a program that was actually built for interventions in sexual violence called Green Dot. But distract, redirect, or delegate. One of those three options. And there've been times, like, luckily I haven't had to be direct in a situation in terms of, since I was like 19, with a personal family situation when I was a teenager. With my own family of origin, but I think about the incident I had about a month and a half ago, where I distracted. I distracted someone. There was a woman who was in her car, and this guy came out of like CVS, Walgreens, whatever else, I forget which one it was, and he hemmed her up, like had her like shouting, screaming at her or whatever else in the car or whatever, and she hadn't had a chance to start her car yet. So I made eye contact with her as I was walking behind the scene and just said, "Hey, you all right?" She was like, "Good. Cool. I got it. Okay, cool. Now the dude actually did try to follow me in the CVS. He's like, "Bro, what you trying to do?" I was like, "Man, nothing, man. I thought you was somebody else." So I lied. I was like, I thought she was somebody I recognized. He was like, "Oh, my bad." I was like, "Oh, that's all good." But I wanted to make sure she was all right, because she looked scared as shit. No, but I don't. But I blend that distraction with the idea of I don't want to be direct. I don't want to jump directly in, because I've had experiences where it's went way, way south. Like not similar to what Rain was talking, not too far similar to what Rain was talking about, which is not in the physical sense where it went south for me. But it was more of a mental health situation. But I think with both of those involved, you get to choose how you get involved, or whether you get involved at all. There may be some scenarios where I'm like, I can't do anything about that. I think I would have responded to that situation, my situation, differently if my daughters were with me. If my daughters were with me, I'm like, priority number one, they got to get home. They have to get home. I'm sorry about your bad luck, but I have my two littles with me, and there's absolutely no way I'm getting myself involved and putting you guys in any hurt, harm, or danger. So that's kind of priority, decision making in that situation, where I'm like, yeah or nah.
So it's circumstantial, man. I think that's the case for most of us, man. I think if I had to answer it, bro, me and mine, bro, my personal circle is my priority, right? I do, I've lived in Missouri my whole life, whether it was St. Louis or Kansas City. I'm in St. Louis now, but I spent a great deal of my life in Kansas City. I could hear a commotion going on the next block or in the vicinity. If I am with my wife or any sort of children in my family, hey man, you keep your face straight. We minding our own business, and we just gonna keep it moving. I wouldn't give a damn what it is. Well, I shouldn't say that, but in most scenarios, I'm going to keep it moving depending on who's with me. But then there's also scenarios, man, when I'm by myself. I think that was kind of original basis of the question when GT asked it, there's been plenty of scenarios where I'm by myself where I just kind of treat that on a case-by-case basis. It depends on the way I'm feeling. It depends on a great number of things. But I guess here's my question, just to throw it in the air. In the event that there is a scenario where you may have looked the other way or not got involved in a situation where somebody needed protection, does that mean it's fair to label you as somebody that doesn't give a fuck about protecting black women? Because I want to get into that, right? I want to get into kind of that whole concept, because there's a lot of behavior, and I don't know if it's social media culture or what it is, but lately kind of in the room where you can do something that somebody disagrees with, or you cannot do something that somebody disagrees with. Now you're suddenly labeled as this type of person. I'll give you a perfect example. Meg Thee Stallion. Everybody familiar with the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez situation, right? So, in that whole sort of back and forth, you have folks that believe that Meg Thee Stallion was telling the truth, folks that believe Tory Lanez was telling the truth. Now, I'm not going to give my stance. For those that don't know, I will give my stance, but I ain't going to give it right now. But if you was that person that said, well, I think that Meg is lying, I think that Tory Lanez is telling the truth, that he's innocent, you could very well be labeled as somebody who doesn't protect black women. You're not concerned about the safety of black women. So what do you say to that? How do we get into breaking down that part of the conversation?
I think in this situation specifically, I think it's stupid to label somebody before the facts come out. That's the best way I can put it. So prior to that conviction, or prior to the conviction, prior to evidence being shown, it's hearsay. I heard Tory Lanez shot Meg Thee Stallion. That's it. I like his music. He didn't do it. I don't know.
I'm gonna take it a step back. I'm gonna take it a step back before we even get to that point.
Okay.
If a woman is with you, are you gonna allow her to get shot in her feet?
So I'm trying to figure out, when I start running, why ain't she start running? That's the problem. They don't know how to follow. That's the problem.
I don't know if there was no running involved though.
Why you still there? You saw me running. Why the hell you still there? That's me.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Is it our job to get her out this situation? Is it our job to get her out this situation?
GT, you talking about in the Meg and Tory specific dynamics versus just a woman that you with in general is what you like. I think it kind of depends on the dynamic, man. Like overall, I think it is. You know what? I ain't gonna give my opinion. Y'all go ahead.
Because it goes back to the topic of the night, right? Sure. Are we protecting? Are we? You know what I mean? So, I'm asking. Are we gonna even allow a woman to get shot that's in our presence?
Oh, so you saying take the bullet for her?
No. Are we going to protect her and get her out of that situation?
So listen, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with Meg and Tory. Like, I paid zero attention to that, so I don't know the scenario. But I look at it like this. I'm going to put my wife in a situation because I care about her. My wife is right here. A gun gets pulled. I'm doing everything I can to de-escalate that situation because she's right there, I might handle it like I'm sure we all might handle it a little differently if we were alone. However, I'm not a tough guy. I don't want to get shot. like we can't be friends, bro. Calm down. Like, why you got that? Like, we gonna talk. But I mean, I'm gonna protect the person next to me, even if I got my wife. I'm gonna step in front of her and let her walk off if that's possible. But that's gonna come down. And I hate to do this without them being here to protect themselves, but that also comes down to being able just to follow fucking directions.
So what you alleging, JB, just so I can make sure I'm following you correctly.
Come on.
I think you are alleging, or maybe bringing up the scenario or the dynamic where no matter how it is that you reacting to that situation, right? If I'm going to be confrontational or if I want to take off running, you saying as the woman, as your wife, I'm assuming we talking about that sort of relationship.
Yeah.
She's supposed to she's supposed to follow your lead regardless of what direction.
Right.
Okay.
Now, if it's a life or death situation, her fight or flight's gonna kick in more so than whatever I tell her. So, I can't, however, I'm gonna be like, duck. You can't be like, why? You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from.
That's right.
I don't have time to explain this danger coming towards you. I see it. You don't. Duh.
That's right.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. GT, do that answer your question?
Yeah. I feel you. I hear you, JB.
I don't know if everybody spoke on it. My iPad died on me. But as far as the protection of a stranger, I think it's different things. I think when it comes to somebody who like in a relationship, I think it's a little bit different, than stranger on stranger. You know what I mean? But most of all, definitely if I have my family, my family is priority. Which I learned, the one you created is the most important family. So, but I think when it comes to protection, it's almost like, instead of protection, it's almost like education is needed, because protection seems like, and depending on the situation, like a couple of the brothers that said, like, I ran into a situation, it didn't work out good. Like, I wasn't even really supposed to intercede. The woman wasn't even really tripping like that, Well, then that's temporary protection. That's temporary, because she's gonna go through the same thing again. So it's almost like she need education. She don't need protection, And I guess that would be protecting, with education, and I know that's a flip to it, but like I said, it's almost like some people don't respect it. They don't respect you trying to protect them, or they don't see the value. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think you put yourself at risk.
Bert, I think we talked about that in the meeting, man. Like, kind of what protection has looked like throughout history, kind of in the Black community, in our culture, right? With gender roles and whereas at a certain point in time in history, all it might have taken was A, B, C, and D, and that was considered, sort of a real man, a protector of his family. But we kind of talked about how some of those things have definitely changed throughout time, man. And Clack, I think you hit it right on the nail, man, because there was a point in time, man, where I think the community in general, man, especially men were really hardened. Men didn't really talk much, show a lot of emotion, really didn't do a whole lot of talking in terms of trying to explain to the children why they were doing something, and Coach, that's been one of the things, man, that I've always just admired about you, man, just watching you, fatherhood, man. A lot of your fatherhood has a lot to do with just coaching in general, man, just about life. You even if you got to yell at your kid for a minute, man, you still going to explain to them, why it is that you're telling them to do, what it is that you're telling them. You might not have the opportunity to do that in every single moment, but like you said, man, be something where it's just not just temporary. And I think that kind of goes with what we were talking about, Bert, man, like how some of those dynamics have changed throughout time in terms of, what is really, required of a man in terms of protecting their family.
Absolutely. Like, the rules are different. The rules are different depending on where you stay. The rules are different in terms of, like, what your role is. Like, I think what we spoke on, I was like, what my pops passed in 2021, and his generation, he was, barely 63, 64 when he passed. 64 he passed. And his generation, what they consider to be a good man, was like, oh, well, he has a good job. He worked for Ford for years. He retired from there. But he has a good job at Ford. He holds down the household. He worked for the city corps of engineers when he was like younger and worked for the city, so he could build things. So he built us a tree house and everything else. From the outside looking in, people said, oh, that's a good man. Solid father. But he was terrifying at home because he didn't have a good handle on his own emotions. So, for me, as I got older, I was like, I don't want to be that father. I don't want my children to be terrified of me. And I think a lot of times we think about that kind of stuff, the evolution of that. And I think part of that too is, part of it's generational, part of it's the image he projected out to the world. But also, I mean, that was the expectation. I mean, like on our block, I think my household growing up, we were one of the only, aside from my grandmother's house, my house, and maybe a couple of houses on the block on 30th. I think we were only two houses that had two parents in the household, let alone had a daddy in the household. Like, so I think the image that was projected out there was like, he's there and he's paying the bills. So that the bar, as I say now, the bar was so low that it was in hell. The devil would trip over it in the morning. Like that is not, from my view of manhood now as an adult, that is not the bar I want to set for my daughters. Is like, oh well, yeah, my daddy paid the bills. No, I want you to actually feel that my daddy is here and supports me and cares about me and actually communicates with me and shows up and all these other kind of things. I think that's also just generational, man. Like we talked about it, that role evolves, and I think there's room for evolution in that scenario. We're like, okay, well, what other things we can't? For my basketball players, we can't play ball the same way we did in the 80s. You can't lay a forearm into somebody and call it that way. Like, you actually have to evolve with the game too as well. So that means adding new tools to your toolbox. Yeah, I think I probably should check in on my mental health. Maybe I was traumatized by some of this stuff, or maybe it's possible that that I should share more about my emotions and things like that. I mean, I think sometimes the prototype or the version of the men that we are trying to be or are being held a standard to, maybe it's based off old tech. It's based off of a world that no longer exists anymore. Like the idea of like, oh, well, we got to protect, provide, we got to make sure that all that's taken care of. Yeah, sure, that's 100% fine, but protection may be more multi-dynamic than any other situation. So that means more than just bring home the bacon, pay the bills, more than 50-50, 100% zero kind of thing. Like, you cover everything. Yeah, that's great. But if you so stressed out and pissed off at work that you come home and you scream at your partner, or you come home and you just with your kids, like, I think we as men have to raise that bar and that standard about what we consider to be real men,
Mm-hmm. When I talk to, I work with a lot of men, like, you know what I mean? Like, I work with a lot of men. They come in first time I end up dealing with the family, and then after that I end up working with the men. And one of the things that I work on with a lot of men is that understanding that we, especially in the family, especially when we have a wife and children, we don't understand how much control we have over the emotional thermometer in the household. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we come in based on our behavior, the house will gravitate to us or move away from us. And I think it's important that we begin to understand how much, and I'm just moving off of what you said. I don't know if I'm staying on topic or whatnot, but it's really important that we understand how much power and control we have over or influence our household emotions and ability to handle those. And that would take for us to first understand the power that we have. Like, it's difficult. A lot of men don't understand. They think I come in and the house move away from me, it's their fault. In reality, we have to accept responsibility and understand that sometimes if we had a rough day at home, like I've sat in my driveway a few times for a few minutes, composing myself, taking some deep breaths to make sure I'm moving this house with a smile on my face. Because this is probably the first or second time that they've seen me throughout the day. And I'm working late, so they're probably only going to see me for about 2 hours throughout the day. So I have to make sure I'm able to manage that and not just always stay constant, but show them that I'm able to manage it, even when things are down. So I don't know if that stayed on point, but you know what I mean.
Nah, bro.
But I honestly think the only way you can protect someone is if they are working with you. The woman's working in the masculine, there's no way you can protect him. Because at the end of the day, they're gonna keep putting themselves in the position of a man, and I can't protect you unless you know. So like at the end of the day, like a woman has to also do her part into like, all right, cool, like like you can't protect the kids. Like imagine if you're on battlefield, you can't protect a kid on the battlefield if they're out there trying to fight with you. No, you gotta tell them to back up, hide somewhere safe, so I can handle this, and I come get you after. But we can't have you sitting there like in their face also when we're trying to de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
Because Megan, let's be honest, Megan acts out of masculine energy. So she's probably putting her hand in his face and everything.
I ain't gonna let you go there. Man. Like we talking about somebody pulling out a gun and shooting a woman in the foot, man. I wouldn't give a damn. If we ain't gonna go there with the Megan situation. You give me another scenario.
I don't care who it is, a woman or a man. I'm not protecting.
But you're not gonna we're not talking about. Well, yeah, listen, I'm not talking about protecting in that particular situation. But overall, what I mean by this, Rain, as far as protecting is, I wouldn't shoot a woman in the foot over a misunderstanding, right? The Meg Thee Stallion situation is just a crazy situation because I can't imagine being a neighbor or somebody that was a witness to kind of see that play out. But I will say that once Meg Thee Stallion said, and everybody noticed about me, once she said that Tory Lanez shot her, I believed her until I was going to see otherwise. Later for all of the there's a lot of situations where somebody could lie on somebody, right? But I'm going to believe the word of a woman in that situation if she ain't gave me no reason to not believe her word when she makes a serious accusation such as that. She named this man. She said he actually shot me, and these are celebrities that we talking about. And I said, man, ain't no way she lying about that. Just me personally. And my whole thing was, if he did do that, then he should be punished to the fullest extent of the law, because that's not an act in which it's reasonable. There's no excuse for, actually putting a bullet in a woman because y'all having an argument, even if she is in your face and putting her fingers in your face and all of that. For me, sometimes, and I'll just spend a couple of seconds here. I know we got to go to break, but sometimes, man, I think that you can protect somebody by walking away, right? By not entertaining sort of a conflict or a situation. And I know me personally, I've had to do that with women a number of times, over the years, just different, not just talking about, somebody I'm in a relationship with, but just a black woman in general, women of other races as well, but it's, definitely black women in my community. I've had to just walk away, and you do that. In my mind, I'm doing that to protect you from the situation going too far. So that's just my opinion on that. Yeah, go ahead.
Question for you. Now, this is not something we've spoken about, but I got a feeling. What do you do when they follow you after you try to walk away?
That's a whole nother episode.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, because they don't let you walk away. No, ain't no walking away. We about to talk about this right now. I'm blocking every door in this house you try to walk through. Like
that is someone's for both. If someone does not let you leave, let me just name this. We get into it. We go to the
middle. You're shaking their head because we've all been through.
No. What I'm saying is, whenever somebody, when we get to the mental health aspect of this later on in the show, like that not letting somebody leave is emomentally abusive and a domestically violent act. Period. Like blocking the door and everything else. And so men are victims of domestic violence too as well. But we laugh at stuff. So like it's important to be able to put that and take that really serious, So like
no, it is. It's a serious conversation. I think
I know we can hold it lightly. I know we can hold it lightly too as well.
Brought it up
at the same time, it happens. It definitely happens. JB, you ain't lying. You ain't lying.
It definitely does. I think even to circle back to what Ryan was talking about, as far as a woman that could be, giving off a little bit too much. He called it masculine energy. Trying to kind of walk in the shoes of a man in any sort of situation. The ladies, they spoke about that in their episode, the Strong Black Woman episode. They actually tied it to history, man. They read an excerpt from the Willie Lynch letter, and they talked about how it was intentional to kind of create this reversal of roles in the black community where the women grow up being taught to be independent and strong and not need a man and so they had a real good conversation on that, man. And I think that there's some truth behind that, man, in terms of, because like Rain said, man, like a lot of that is part of the culture, right? You get into sort of these situations where women can be a little bit hyper aggressive in front of you, and a lot of that comes from just the DNA and the upbringing, and it dates back to the Willie Lynch times, man. So definitely, man, the conversation, man, like what we doing right now, man, the dialogues need to be had. I think we all can agree on that.
It's also important that we don't match that feminine energy, because sometimes you get into you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of guys matching that feminine energy, getting into an argument and going all out when you ain't got to.
Exactly. That was Tory Lanez, and he pulled a gun.
Yeah, I ain't want to say that. I ain't want to say that.
I'm going to say that. I'm going to defend. Well, I ain't going to defend Mary. No, I am going to defend Mary. No, I ain't going to do it. Okay, you know what, brothers? Let's take a quick breather, man. Let's take a quick little break, man. Get a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and finish the conversation, man. But good stuff so far, brothers.
At Lifted KC, we aim to reduce the stigma associated with mental health by promoting awareness of mental illness, its symptoms, and providing resources for those in need. We believe that through trust, relationships, understanding, service, and teamwork, transformation is possible. Support the Men Heal movement by donating to the Cash App handle LiftedKC.org. For more information about our organization, visit www.lifted.kc.org. Lifted KC, transforming lives through hope and healing.
Juneteenth 2023. Angela Marie Publishing will be in Kansas City, Missouri at the Heritage Festival in the historic Vine District. Saturday, June 17th from noon to 10 p.m. Visit our booth at 18th and Vine for exclusive Juneteenth pricing and deals on all AMP products and merch. Featuring paperback books from the Art of Cheating episode, the full lineup of the Healing Collection, brought to you by the Blacked Out Couch Podcast, the I Am series, featuring the limited edition I Am Pretty shirt, and a special Juneteenth 2023 version of the I Am Prosperous tee. Saturday, June 17th from noon to 10, Historic Jazz District on the Vine. Come out and support Black heritage and freedom with Angela Marie Publishing, bringing words to life. We back. Y'all good, fellas? Everybody still good? Y'all still with me on the couch?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, where we left off, man, I was talking about sort of the Willie Lynch factor, man, kind of, a lot of it being the culture and the reversal of the roles. So I did want to kind of spend a little bit of time on that, man, if y'all don't mind. But when I think about, protecting like my woman, my family, the kids that are around me, right? One of the things that I do think about is sort of the cop factor, man, the police factor, right? There's been moments where, and I'm not even saying the police being directly involved in the interaction, but if there's a moment that calls for what I deem I need to protect them from this other person or from this group of people, in the back of my mind, I have to think about the police being called to the scene. Police get involved in any sort of situation. whether it's, you know, me breaking up a fight, like my cousin said happened with him in an accident. He's trying to break up a fight. Like in that situation, me personally, I'm thinking about the police getting involved at any given time because that changes the dynamics of the situation, and I feel more powerless, you know, in the situation being a black man and living in this country where if the police get involved with this, I may not be able to take this in the direction that I want to take it in general. So can we speak about sort of that dynamic when it comes to like protecting our own?
Power dynamics play a huge role in what we have available. Like if we're in a situation where the cops is involved, like I'm not gonna respond the same way. Like because I'm trying my damnedest to get home. I don't want to become a hashtag. That is not. I cannot be of support for you know my family from the other side. So it changes what's actually available, and so maybe I don't directly intervene in that fight. Maybe I don't. Maybe somebody says they calling the police. I'm out and gone. Like I don't want to take that chance because for you guys, y'all see, you know, Burt Rogers, mental health therapist and blah, blah, blah. To me, they go see another young brother with locks, tattoos, and everything else. And they go come in and spray. They just see another black man that they need to put down. And I don't want to play that game. I mean, I have families who've been you know, shot and killed by the police. You know, I'm not playing that game. Like I don't want to catch the wrong cop on their day, and now I'm gone. Like I can't take that chance. I cannot. I refuse to take that chance. As a matter of fact.
Is it safe to say that, you know, we might want to add a timeline to this question? And the reason why I said that is because this is appropriate if we're talking about the 60s and the 70s, to stepping in and be the hero and, hey, protect somebody. Nowadays, the women doing the shooting. Like, so it's to the point the way they so masculine, they protecting their damn self. Now, hold on. I'm just saying, though. Like, I mean, I'm thinking maybe a timeline here matters. Because
I can agree with you because earlier I was thinking like most of the time, like back in the days, it was different. Women were different. They were pretty much moving along the same accord. They had they had a script. Now there is no script, and you know, you don't know what you're jumping into. Like you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, 20 years ago, they wasn't hopping in no Uber going to some dude house that they met off Instagram.
Right.
I'm just saying,
you saying that they take more risks? They're not looking to be protected. Are you speaking from that dynamic?
I'm saying that they're putting themselves in a higher riskier situation, and I think the decision making is less based off their safety, but more on the gratification that they might get or the fun that they might have. Because I think that there's certain things that women I know wouldn't do 20 years ago that they will do now, or 30 years ago that they will do now.
Yeah.
You know, like you could just send a few texts. Ain't no way, you know, that you could a woman would trust you that way if she hadn't spent a certain amount of time with you or hadn't a certain amount of conversations or a certain interaction with you. Now it could be based off of what she's seen you got, or what she's seen, you know, who she's seen you with, or, you know what I mean? Like it's just different now. And that's why I said maybe the timeline has an effect on the decision on protection.
I think it's different now too. And I'm going to put the blame back on us as black men. So in terms of 60s, 70s and how women moved, to speak to what Rain said, we could say they were more feminine. They moved in a more feminine energy than they do now. And that's because of the absence of us. They have to. And it's a multi-tiered answer as to why we're missing. I mean, we can go incarceration, but I'm gonna speak to a couple of things I just know personally. So just in terms of just our neighborhood, let's speak to our neighborhood. Who is supposed to protect our neighborhood? Where I live, my hood, my block. Is it the police or is it me? I think it's me, right? But we went through a culture shift where us men, we were not protecting our hoods. We were exploiting them. We were selling drugs in them. We didn't care who we sold them to. That was the downfall of our society. And I'm gonna go back to that early 80s, that 79, 80, when crack came in and proliferated. Like everything changed. The family household changed. You know what I'm saying? Like that crack addiction, if we want to talk about DNA and things permeating through years, my goodness. Like, I know personally I was affected by it. I know I was. And then we could talk about gang culture, how we perpetuate that, how gangs, they will get in the neighborhood, they protect each other, but fuck grandma walking up the street. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no respect there anymore. So we've lost ourselves as men, and I can't say us personally, but I'm throwing us all up in there to even hold each other.
The culture.
Accountable to say that's fucking wrong. You need to stop. Do something different.
I think we jumped off. I would agree. We jumped off the cliff. But we can't forget, y'all. We had some people behind us with some good shoves and pushes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because now women were being incentivized, man, to have the men not be in the home.
Yeah.
They would like you.
That's
wouldn't.
all. They go back to the Willie Lynch. They go back to the Willie
you
Lynch.
ain't getting
the
no
whole
government
concept of
you wouldn't get no government assistance if you had that man in the house.
True.
You know what I mean? Like the separation, man. I mean, like, that's a whole different story. But I will say that there's also a feminist movement that happened to where women wanted equal everything, and they stuck their head. They was like, hey, we want the same thing as men want,
and they deserve it.
You know what I mean? And but the thing is, we not equal though.
No,
we not equal. So like I like. If you deserve the same thing that men deserve, then you deserve to get drafted, right? You deserve to get drafted. Then you don't deserve a WNBA. You need to try out the men. You understand? If it's equal, then it need to be equal. And when somebody busts in a house at 2:00 in the morning, jump your ass up and protect everybody since it's equal.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So you can't you can't 1 minute want an old school man to do all of this traditional stuff, and then the next minute, no, I got this. I don't need you. I want this. I want equal. But we're not the same though. We not. We just not equal.
I feel like it was a podcast host that touched on this. What was his name?
This man is already on it. He already is.
What was it? Man, what was that guy's name that touched on this stuff?
Was it Kevin Samuels?
I think so. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, but I think it determines like what kind of relationship you actually want, though. Too, like if you, I think a couple of things that happen, right? We talk about the trauma of crack cocaine that hit all our communities. We talk about the not so gentle push that the government did to put the shit in our communities to begin with and bust up the Black Panthers to turn into gangs. We ain't gonna talk about that shit, but that's definitely part of the story. With all that being said, we're talking about the effects of generational trauma, communal trauma, and individual trauma. All these things affect our ability to relate to each other in a healthy kind of way. And it ruptures our ability to actually define what we want to build for ourselves and what we want to build with each other. And in that situation, if we have that kind of dynamic at play, you have people who are basing their idea of what they want off old tech of like, well, this is what worked. Like what worked for my folks will not work for me. What worked for the community at the time may not work for me. It may not be a scenario where you want someone to jump up and like personally, like if me and my daughters are out and about somewhere and let's say they're over the age 18, they're kids now, but let's say there's a situation that pops up, I don't want my girls fighting. I'm jumping in immediately. I don't care how old I am. Like that's not gonna be a scenario where I'm letting them go out there and fight. And they can hold their own, sure. Both of my daughters know how to throw elbows, knees, and God help you if my daughter sinks in the rear naked choke because it's over for you. But the problem is, though, is like I don't want that kind of space because I'm their daddy. That's not your job. So part of it is preparing them for something they may have to be involved in, but also knowing that as their dad, that is my job. That is my responsibility. And I take that on willingly. I took it on when I decided that we're all gonna decide to have kids. Like, okay, we're gonna have kids. That's my job. But I think defining what that actually means for everybody's relationship. If you want somebody to go 50-50, go for it. If you want to take 100% of the bills, go for it. But that you have to define. I think where we go left in some of these conversations, with Mr. Podcast Man included, you know what I mean? Like I think if you start defining it for everyone, what everyone should be doing, I don't know how Kevin Samuels ran his house. I don't know, but I do know for sure in terms of how we co-create our relationships. If you want to define it as such, like, hey, I want you to carry your toolie outside. We out there too. If they start busting, we start busting together. Whatever. That's the situation. That's between you and your partner. But if it's a scenario where someone's expecting everything to run off of a should about what everybody else does, they said it when I was growing up, hey, what they do down the block ain't got shit to do with what's going on in this household. So if they run their household that way, great. If Kevin Samuels wants to run his household that way and be a high value man and give people advice, hey, that's advice for his household. That's fine for him. But I think part of it is like defining, hey, how do I interact with feminism? How do I interact with women's lib? How do I interact with what I think gender roles are? Because you can define what your shoulds are for yourself, because those are your core values. Those are the things you find to be really, really, really important. But I'd be damned if somebody else defines it for me.
Yeah, I like that, man. Like that's a good point. Like I think everybody's dynamics is, it's gonna look different, right? But I'm gonna challenge that a little bit, right? So I'm the same way, sort of like in our household, right? We, me and my wife, we got our own dynamics, own delegated roles, so to speak. But one role that I think is my area is security, is protection. I think when I say I think it looks different for everybody, I think but like as far as protection, like security, that's a man's role no matter where we at in the timeline. For me, this is the way I look at it. That's a man's role no matter where we at in the timeline in history, no matter where we at in the time of day. Not to say that that means that I push you out of the way and it ain't superhero shit. It's I'm head of security. I'm so all matters of security go through me. I'm gonna be the one to show you how to use a weapon if I'm comfortable with you using a weapon. I'm going to show you what the security protocols are, leaving and coming and going, right? So I think that for me, bro, if it ain't nothing else that we agree on, right? Security and protection is a man's job. That's my opinion. I'll let y'all jump in.
I can rock with that because if there's a noise outside, I'd be damned if I'm not the one out there with the tool or my bat. Like I'm going to check on that weird ass noise that's outside. Or if there's a situation where like that goes when my daughter's like, oh God, there's a spider. Okay, guess who's killing the spider today? Like that's goes from there all the way up though. That is I am the last one up to lock the doors, and it's been this way. Part of my parentification as a kid was I'm the last one awake. I'm the last one awake in the household. I stay up with everybody as a kid. And part of that was even as an adult now, I'm the last one up to lock the door. I do the perimeter check when I leave. I set the alarm, and I don't go to sleep until those things are done. Like that's, I'm making like a door's locked, everything cool.
But in today's time, the women are now starting to see that as sexist.
They may.
I wouldn't give it down.
They can think that if they want to, Ray, but when it come down to it, they gonna step the fuck back and let you handle it. Trust me, you've been there. Like they gonna shut the fuck up because at some point that alpha's gonna come out, and they ain't got that. At some point, if it goes there, I'm shutting the fuck up. He got this. But unfortunately, it's a learning curve for some people.
It's a learning curve, but it's also I'm gonna say this, man. Like that's the way that I live. Like JB say, like, look, this is the way it's gonna be. But I'm not saying that, Ray. I'm not saying that to say that it ain't been moments where my wife then overstepped her boundaries, and we've had to have a conversation about that, and I had to remind her that this is my area. That's gonna be your ups and downs. It's been moments. Matter of fact, man, I might even told you about, it was a time where I hopped up in another brother's face because we was finna go there, and my wife jumped in between us. And me and her argued about that for the whole rest of the trip we was on, right? Because, you know, even knows, and it's like, this is the way, but everybody's not going to be perfect. And I think, bro, the whole beauty about relationships and the people that you protect around you is that, like what Coach said, is sometimes it's always a constant learning experience. You got to coach them on how to be up under your protection. And sometimes they might not, you know, remember everything that they was coaching. You just got to remind them. Because everybody, but like JB said, the bottom line is, if you really assert yourself as the person that's supposed to be in that role, I don't think that, you know, any woman in her right mind gets in your way. And if you do find that that's the case, that ain't who you supposed to be with. You know, if y'all can't mesh, that's just my opinion. I think that protection and security is a man's thing.
And
no matter what.
The back end question I have is like, you know, does that person feel safe under your wing though too? Like, I think that's a big part of it too. Like, I think part of like leader dialogue, being a leader, that kind of stuff too as well. You got to be, you know, I talk a lot about power dynamics, and like, you know, you have to have a scenario where a person feels safe with you taking the lead. Like, that means you will, that if you're gonna pick up that mantle and you're gonna say you an alpha or whatever else, well, you damn sure better lead your pack well.
Are you responsible? Are you responsible for them feeling safe? If you provide all of that stuff, if you provide the security, financial, all that stuff, are you responsible for them feeling safe?
I believe I am. For me, my job as a dad is to make sure that they feel that sense of safety, even if things are falling apart. My job is like, okay, yeah, I want you to feel safe, and I want you to tell me if you don't, because that is, for me as a man, I feel like that's my response. Like, that is my not. I wouldn't even say just responsibility. I put it as strong for myself. That's my obligation to show up in that way, even if things are all kinds of upheaval and topsy-turvy as my situation is right now. I still think it's like, hey, my job as a leader is to be able to say, hey, shit's about to change around here, and this is how I can make sure that y'all have a safe landing, no matter what the situation looks like, because that's what I signed up for. And I take that job, I take that extremely serious. Like, so emotionally, physically, financially, whatever the situation is.
Now, I understand what you're saying, but that's considering if you're dealing with someone who's emotionally stable. How do I?
Very true. Very true.
You know what I mean? How do I make?
I think what Brother Menahan
feel something that you're incapable of feeling.
I think what Brother Menahan was saying that I think what you were asking, Scott, was that if you have a situation where you are providing, all of these things to protect somebody, and yet they still don't feel safe. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Are you responsible for the fact that they don't feel secure under your protection? That's a great question.
Right.
Because I do think that dynamic exists. I mean, let's be honest, man. Look to your left and right. Black women say it all the time. They don't feel protected by us, just in general. Black women say that they don't feel protected by us. So whose responsibility is that to make them feel protected, or whose responsibility is it that they don't feel protected? I think that's what Scott is asking. Am I right?
Okay. Right. I think it's specificity though too. I think you have to define like what you're protecting in a situation. I think when I hear that phrase that Black men are not protecting our women, what I hear is, hey, you're not checking your guys. You're not standing up or checking the guys in your community that are out of pocket. Like, I think when we talk about that aspect, when I hear that phrase, that's what I don't think about like he didn't show up in a superhero way and catch a bullet for me, or that. I don't think that's not where my brain goes. I think about like, hey, your boy's on some fuckery and you ain't say shit to him. Your boy's on some bullshit and he's out here hitting his partner. He's out here, not taking care of his kids, and you ain't say shit to this man. You ain't protecting him.
Right.
Or I think about it in terms of a family dynamic. If you're not looking out for your daughter in terms of like you're choosing your own. Like, I think about guys who are parentified or who also haven't like stepped into their own adulthood, and they end up siding with their own individual family of origin over protecting their own kiddos or protecting the vulnerable people in their household. I think that when I think about not being protected, I think about intimate partner violence. I think about my own daddy who failed to protect everybody in that household, even though he was providing a house. He was providing a house, but he didn't provide no home. So like when we talk about protecting, I talk about protection in that way. Even if that person's not stable, say for instance, to answer that piece of the question from my end, if the person isn't stable, you can't overstep and make this person feel safe. If you're doing everything, if you do a checklist, like, man, did I show up emotionally? Okay, check. Physically, yeah. Did I show up with everything I possibly could? Yeah, they still don't feel safe. We can't be responsible how someone receives said protection, but we can do an honest assessment on what if we did everything we possibly could do. And if we,
I think
a lot of, no, go ahead.
I think a lot of times, like, we begin building relationships with people who are unstable in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, and even our understanding of what it is to protect our household is unstable, because most of us come from financially unstable backgrounds. So the first thing we want to do is provide. And then we don't think about the provide and protect physically, but we don't think about emotions or all that other stuff that we was talking about earlier. So it's like, you know what I mean? Once you're in a relationship, how do you pivot and get to the point where you're like, okay, well, I'm short in this area, or I'm falling short in this area. How do we do that as men? Because we fall short a lot of times too. How do we do that and then compensate for where we are falling short? Like, who's gonna check us? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we the king of our domain. Who gonna check us and say, hey, you need to do this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think it comes from conversations like we have in here, though. I know for us, I mean, we all seem to be, honest and truthful men as a whole. And I think if we built that kind of connection with each other, it would be something for somebody to pull somebody's coattails like, hey, bro, you fucking up. Like, I think that is like an honest, because I think we can be that blunt. You fucking up. Right. Or you fucked up. Right. And I think you need to have people around you.
So with that, Scott, when you talk about the relationship, so I've been married for 19 years, and I actually spoke about this last week.
Where you good?
What was that?
I said you can't surround yourself with fuckboys and expect kings. Like, that's how it works. You got it. Yeah, go ahead.
But being married for 19 years, like, I got married early 20s, mid 20s. My wife and I were high school sweethearts, so we grew up together. We're different people now than we were when we met, when we got married, first kid, first house. We're different people. So a part of that protection is actually listening to that person you chose to be a partner with, because they'll tell you what you're not giving them. It's up to us to listen and to validate it or to not, but we have to listen. This person is telling me something. I brought this up last week. My wife, in my when she met me, I had qualities that she absolutely loved. Now, me growing and maturing as a man, those qualities aren't as attractive to her anymore. Do I just be like, hey, I am who I am, deal with it? Or am I going to protect my wife who's sharing this with me? She was vulnerable enough to share this with me. Do I take that and be like, you're right, I'm going to try to make some changes, or at least I'm going to take some steps to make a change? So I think a part of that umbrella protection is listen to the people you're protecting too, because they'll tell you when something's wrong or how they feel, But like you said, is that a stable person telling me that, or is she coming out emotional left field? This don't make sense right now. But once again, I've been married long enough. Even if she is being emotional, I still have to listen. I can't just dismiss her, because that's just going to take it up another level. So just in terms of having that emotional intelligence to stop what I'm doing, look her in the eye and listen. Now, am I going to be able to make a change that she wants? Who knows? But I think that first step, just that step of listening, makes a huge difference in terms of a person feeling protected by you.
Right.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'll say something on that too, though, because it also depends on, what a woman is as far as like her communication. You know what I mean? Like, because if she don't communicate her feelings, then you don't necessarily know, right, everything that's going on. And then you have some women who like to hold on to what it is that they thinking or how they feeling and wait till the moment of when you bring something to them. Like, hey, I need you to do this, or and it's, hey, well, what about you when you do this and do that and do this and do that, right? So you can't. It's a little difficult then, because communication it definitely, you have to have clarity within the communication. I mean, and being, like you said, 19 years in, you should be able to be straightforward. You know what I mean? You know, you shouldn't have to pry and probe to try and find out what an issue is. You know, I think that, and it goes back to, you know, some of the things that Scott was saying, even Rogers. You know, one of my main things I was saying, I started saying, I think about several months ago, last year, I started saying, you know what? I just feel proud of myself from continually picking myself up from failing from false information.
Mm-hmm.
Break that down.
So, I said, so basically, I feel good about myself of all the times I failed and picked myself up, but now knowing that I failed just off having false information.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, because the things that I thought, like you said, relying on old tech and things of that nature, like, okay, you know what, this is supposed to work, or well, my mama did it like this, or my daddy did it like this. So basically, some of these things that we relying on and what our beliefs was what our parents' beliefs was, and was what their parents' beliefs was, and could have been my parents' partners' beliefs, and they neighbors, and whatever the case is. And we carrying that on, and we thinking it's supposed to apply to our life. And so then when you get, I'll be 47 in August. So I think around this time I start realizing, like, damn, all this stuff was really that I thought I knew. It really didn't apply to me.
Right.
Because it didn't apply to me. It really didn't. Now that I know me, now I know what really applies to me. All the things, all the teachings, all the experiences, all the things I heard, all the stories. You know, you try to soak up all that as you grow, but all that don't apply to you. You know what I mean?
Right. Until
you realize what really applies to you. And once you realize that, then you can start making the changes. Because remember, the question was like, man, how do you make those changes? Right? And when it goes back down to really self-talk, because can't nobody see everything that you're doing to even check you for real. And that means you got to go be telling your whole story of everything you're doing. And that's not likely that you go, hey man, I did this today, man. I grabbed my wife by the neck. I should have did it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that's not something that you will be talking about much. So really, it does take a platform like this, right? Check this out now. It take a platform like this to when this ends, we can walk away and have a different conversation with ourselves now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we truly know the details of what's going on. You know what I mean? Because even though we open, we still ain't open with 100% details of everything, because that's just how it is, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But one day we can get there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But right now, this is enough to make you go have a conversation with yourself and be like, hold up, man. The next time my wife say this, or the next time this situation come, I think I'm going to look at it a little bit different.
Yeah. I talk to myself all the time. My wife think I'm crazy.
So. Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, sometimes you have wise counsels. It be like that sometimes.
Come on. hey, real quick. Go ahead, Brother Scott.
Now, so to go back on what Joel Johnson, Coach Johnson was saying, one of the books that I've read and I suggest to a lot of my clients and just friends and everything. I love passing this book out. It's the 4 Agreements. I'm sure some of y'all have heard of that book.
Holly.
But the 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements is so dope when it comes to sitting back and assessing yourself, and then making making these new agreements with yourself to move through life differently, because we come in this with a lot of baggage. Like my dude, like Bert said, we use the old tech from our parents that was built for them to help them survive back then. And now we here trying to be that version of ourselves when it's not going to work. But the 4 Agreements is a dope book, like a dope starting place for anybody that understands that they have some personal difficulties, and it might need to reach a little deeper to dig some of the deeper stuff out. So the 4 Agreements is a good book. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's it.
Man, Brother Scott said the best. Hey, go ahead, Holly. Go ahead.
Because Coach Johnson, that was a book that he I don't even remember when that was. It's been a few years, couple of years or so, maybe 3 years. 3 years ago, you had recommended that book to me. I did buy it. I bought the ebook and the paperback. So I would go back and forth with reading them. I've recommended that to some other men. Because for me, and now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever recommended that to a woman. I don't know if there's anything behind that, but just for me, what I took from the 4 agreements, man, it definitely, I paid that forward, man, because Coach put me up on that, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But one of the things that it does talk about is not making assumptions, man, and the whole I think overall general theme, bro, is just being accountable, self-aware, and I think that's what Coach was talking about, man, is that we got to get more to the point where we can hold ourselves accountable. But I think that the point that you were making was spaces like these where man hold each other accountable, even though we don't have all of the details downloaded between, but that gives you the opportunity where you can walk away from this and start to have some better conversations, some deeper conversations with self. So yeah, man, for sure.
Yes, definitely. Hey, it's 5. They call it. It's a book out. It's the 5th agreement. They added one more on there now. Yes, it's the 5th agreement. But yeah, definitely. Like what Scott was saying, man. Like it's the self-awareness first, the self-talk, and just checking ourselves. And Holly, man, thank you. Like I said, this platform does help. I think I'm at a good 7.5 now. I'm steady. My rate is steady going up. You feel me? Like I'm over here on live, steady driving up my ratings. You hear me? So
So listen, man.
I love that.
Listen, man. I want to be respectful of everybody's time too, man. Brother Rogers, we can get into that resources section, man, just to drive it back home. We talking about the concept of protecting women and children, man. And so one of the last things that we do, man, before we wrap up everything, man, is we like to give out some information, man. It's sort of a fact check section where we can give some resources. We talked about this offline and also just within here. One of the things that has changed is sort of the access to information, access to resources, to different help. That it's all about knowledge. Like you said, Coach Johnson, a lot of times we fail, man, because we had misinformation, right? So we want to use this resources section, man. So I'll give you the floor, Brother Rogers. Go ahead and take us home.
All right. So I want to share a couple of resources because we're alluding to protecting women and children, particularly Black women and Black children as a whole. When it comes down to it, according to the National Intimate Partner Sexual Violence Survey, nationally, 45% of Black women experience unwanted sexual contact or sexual violence, physical violence, and/or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. So we're talking about nearly half. Same survey found that 40% of Black men experience same unwanted sexual contact or sexual violence, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. According to the 2011 National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey, approximately 41% of Black women have experienced physical violence with an intimate partner in their lifetime, compared to 31% of white women, 30% of Hispanic women, and 15% of Asian or Pacific Islander women as a whole. This is from stats from 2017 and again from 2014. I come from myself, I put myself in this, I come from a pretty violent home as a whole too as well. So the subject of domestic violence, intimate partner violence, really hits home for me. That's the household I grew up in. And I was determined to not perpetuate that cycle in my household. So if anybody that you know is suffering from any kind of intimate partner violence as a whole, there is a hotline, 800-799-7233. It's a DV hotline. And here in Kansas City, I can't speak for other cities, but here in Kansas City, we have Hope House here too as well, that may be able to provide counseling, resources, case management, depending on what the situation is. And that's when I talk about men holding other men accountable, I understand I gave statistics for men being survivors of domestic violence too as well. We do have one of the holdovers from previous generations was normalizing domestic violence from the generations previous to us. That is how some of just men in general were taught how to be in a relationship, and that's violence, and we don't need that. So part of breaking that cycle, part of showing up differently, is also holding your guys accountable. Like, shout at your lady is not the way to move. Like, cussing her out or screaming at her, lying, manipulating, gaslighting, whatever we got in that situation. But then we're also talking about financial abuse, withholding finances. We're talking about sexual violence and things like that, like assaults, throwing plates. I see a lot of guys do this stuff that I have a big show of anger and I throw things and get angry. These are all violence I'm talking about. So when we talk about violence in our households, we also have to be able to, the people who have access to these guys, every guy I've ever worked with, every person I've ever worked with has been violent in a intimate partner kind of way. They all have friends. What are their friends saying to these people? Not everybody's hiding stuff behind closed doors. So being able to actually check folks and say, hey, literally, like, what do you, like, if that's your boy, like, go to the side. What are you doing, bro? Like, what are you doing? That is a way we could show and protect our women and our children too as well. Because if your boy is doing some fuckery, please step in. Please step in. Pull him aside on the basketball court. What the hell is going on with you? That's really, really, I maintain that as extremely, extremely important, because from my personal experience, my dad had a bunch of friends and nobody pulled him to the side, as far as I understand. So that's the legacy he left me. And that is the work I do to make sure I never become a man like him.
Yeah.
So
give us that hotline one more time, Brother Rogers.
Absolutely. The hotline number is 800-799-7233. It's a national DV hotline. And the local resource here that I know of is Hope House. They have a website, Hope House. I forget the website off the top of my head, but Hope House is what you can look up, and that they have a bunch of resources in that area too.
Right on, man. All of that, man, is super important, man. Super important for us to, like you said, hold each other accountable as men. Provide these sort of spaces. Even when we ain't got the camera rolling, man, I think, we get even more strict with our accountability with each other when the camera is off, right? So I think we got to encourage that, man, and continue to set the example, man, because one of the last questions I'm going to ask you, brothers, man, and thank you for that, Brother Rogers, again. Thank you for that resources section. I'm going to ask y'all one more question, man, and then we'll get off of here, man. But I'm asking the question, but I'm going to kind of preface it with sort of a absolute truth. One of the things that I think is an absolute truth, no matter where you go, is that for what it's worth, whether you can say that they're trying to be in a man's place, or you can say they being too masculine or whatever, but black women do a hell of a job of protecting the shit out of those that they love. You understand what I mean by that? When we talk about some of the things that are going on, when you talk about police brutality, you talk about, some of the injustices, the racial inequalities, black women be on the front lines trying to go to war for black men. And I think some of that, man, like some of that does come from the Willie Lynch factor. But some of that is the Willie Lynch factor is sort of the byproduct of that, right? A black woman being aggressive, outspoken, speaking about, things like injustice and wrongdoing. Sometimes that's taken with a little bit more acceptance than a black man being, vocal, militant, aggressive, and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to just get y'all's opinion on that, man, or ask y'all a question. If you can think about or give us an opportunity, share with us a situation where you felt protected by a black woman, whether it was your partner or a black woman that you just know in general. Am I wrong in thinking, man, I think black women protect the shit out of us, bro?
I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree.
Yeah.
And no, I highly agree as well.
Love louder than we do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, we talked about how men, like, we're pretty much, I think, I'm about to call him Coach Johnson. He just spoke about how it used to be, Bert too. Like, I make the money, bills are paid. That's it. And then if I say something, I shouldn't have to say it twice. Mm-hmm. So I think just generationally speaking, we see how those men acted. Of course we picked up on that, and we're learning how to be emotional now. Emotion, at least out loud. We're always emotional, but at least out loud. You know what I'm saying? So women, they've always had that to be able to do that freely, whereas it's a stigma to it, but that we're learning to shake off. I'll shut up.
No, you good. Good. I just wanted to, man. I wanted to give a shout out to the sisters, man, because it's. I hope we heal. Bottom line, right? I think that we gonna get it together. I think that we will reach a medium. It starts with these sort of conversations. So shout out to them because they are doing their part in having these conversations on their own behalf. But I do think that it is important to kind of point out that sometimes we need, we got to protect each other, right? I think, like I said earlier, I think that overall it's a man's job to be sort of that head of security. But shoot, I teach my wife how to use a gun as well because I might need her to protect me in such a way. I also might say, we might be dealing with some sort of conflict with in a business relationship. I might tell my woman, hey, listen, I need you to be the one that goes in here and tells these folks like it is. I ain't gonna be that. I can't do it because it's gonna be too aggressive. It's gonna come off a certain way. So I think that partnership is centered around that, man. And I think I just didn't want to get off of here, man, without, because I think about those things, man. I think about my grandmother, my father's mother, man. She was a civil rights activist. You know what I mean? So when I think about her back in the day, this before I was born, I think about women like Maxine Waters, that get out on the front line and will, middle finger flip somebody off for disrespecting or doing something that would endanger or harm black men. And so I do think that women, even women that are like that, I think that they do want to see, from what I hear from them, they do want to see a world where they can take off some of that shield and put the shield down and take off some of that armor to give us an opportunity. But we got to do our part too. I think that was kind of the overall theme of tonight's conversation, is that both sides, we got to do our part, man, and we got to try to reach an understanding. So if y'all got anything else, man, go ahead and chime in on it. I'm off my soapbox for tonight.
I do feel protected, like especially in my relationship from my wife, but I think it's more from a spiritual aspect. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of times I move a little different. I move a little freely, a lot more freely than she does. And she's a lot more honed in on paying attention to, you know what I mean, like people's how people are aiming and not really have my good intentions spiritually. So I do feel protected in my relationship. So just want to give a shout out to the women in a relationship that's protecting their man spiritually and making sure that that the people around them have good intentions, and sometimes moving in ways that we wouldn't, but you know what I mean? Like, so that's a shout out to them.
Me personally, no, I don't. I'm just leave it there. I don't.
Who was that, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to shout out every teacher I've had since kindergarten. Like, just to name a few, Miss, they're still around. Miss Iverson, Miss Watson, like Miss Roberts, even in high school. Like there've been a bunch of teachers that I had that like have really showed up for me as they really like. I felt protected by them. Like I felt protected by them. I felt nurtured by them. Like, and not just as a student. Like, when I had different things happen in my household where they actually, they got together and said, "Hey, I think this kid has, this kid's having a crisis at home. Let me show up." So I think that in those ways, I felt deeply protected by them in that space. Like, like when our house burned down, I was 13. They're the ones that got together, irrespective of the school, and showed up with clothes and sending me home with clothes. So I think, talk about feeling protected, while I didn't feel that same protection from my own mother, and had to come from my aunties and grandmother, and like everybody had to pitch in to kind of show up in that way. But damn, if those teachers and those extended families didn't show up.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to the sisters. Well, look, man, Man, this was a real good dialogue tonight, man. I think we went over time a little bit, man, but I really did enjoy, man, just the energy, man, and the dialogue. So I appreciate all you brothers, man, for stepping in and stepping in on the couch with us tonight. Make sure y'all come back for the follow-up conversation. We like to do these follow-up conversations on Clubhouse, where folks that weren't in, they can come in and we can kind of touch on some of the same themes. So we'll be doing the unpacking on Clubhouse the week after this airs. So make sure, man, if y'all got time, y'all check in with us on that. And then the week after that, there'll be another episode from the sisters. So I'm anxious to see what they come up with next. And man, we gonna do this again, man. Whenever we can, man. How y'all feeling, man? Y'all, GT, you want to do another temperature check before we get off here? Check on everybody.
I think everybody feeling pretty good, at least better than they did when they started. So no, I think we good. I think you can tell we had a good dialogue, good back and forth. I think everybody good.
Nah, I feel worse, but I'm gonna leave it there.
Who was that? Right?
That's my guy. Nah, look. Don't worry about it. Look, I'm gonna hit you after this, man. After we hop off of here, man. It's an everyday thing, man. Like I said, listen, every day, bro, we gotta rest, recharge, and heal, bro. Yeah. And some days it's gonna be worse than others. Some days it's gonna take a little bit more effort than others, man. But I think we gotta do our part in just trying to pulling each other out of them spaces, or giving each other space to process what they need to in them spaces. So it ain't no thing, man.
Hey, Rain, you down there watching Harlem Nights, man? Because look, when Eddie shot DeLuise and the pinky toe, man, that was just part of the movie, bro. Like that's Tory can't do that, bro. I'm just letting he can't do that in real life, man.
All right.